This podcast is brought to you by Anchor. If you don't know by now, Anchor is the easiest way to record your podcast and get it out to your listeners. Anchor allows for you to record from anywhere using your web-enabled device like computer or smartphone. It has built-in creation tools to make editing and presenting your episodes a breeze. And when you're finished, Anchor distributes your podcast for you so you can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many more podcast platforms. Anchor even allows you to make money from ads like this one, no matter the size of your audience. And the best part about it all is it's absolutely free. Anchor is the easiest way to start your podcast. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Second Turnbuckle podcast. I'm here with...
It's the top guy, the inaugural Second Turnbuckle, Golden Turnbuckle recipient. I'm calling it now.
Right, I'm here. I'm here with Notorious, and I'm the captain. He keeps trying to say he's the top guy, but he's going to be really upset when he loses to anybody else in the running for the Golden Turnbuckle. If you guys want to hear who is in the running and what the stipulations and such are for that whole situation, go ahead and check out our bonus episode on Wednesday, where we covered In Your House and Backlash predictions, and then we talked a little bit about the Golden Turnbuckle.
Let me talk
But
to you.
that moves us in, yes, indeed, and that moves us into today. So, Mr. Notorious, go ahead and say what we're talking about today.
Well, we have some. We actually are talking about heat today. It's been a hot week in real life.
Yes, it has.
It's been a hot week,
but also
for
wrestling heat.
It's been a hot week,
exactly,
for the human race.
Oh God, yeah.
It's such strange times.
It really is.
But before we get into that, let's do some non-WWE stuff first. This week we found out that the New Japan Cup is back on.
Yes, it is. We've been doing just like WWE. Wow, that was way too many W's.
Yeah,
I am out of my
back.
mind.
You're throwing it back to
Yeah.
WWW.
Going like 1950s. Yeah. We've only been doing WWE and AEW stuff because that's really the only promotions that have been running. But now New Japan is back. They released a graphic of the New Japan Cup. Lots of returning names, obviously, since everybody's returning. Didn't see anybody new.
Not at all.
I'm glad that you...
I think it was a lack of new people because we're still in the middle of this whole coronavirus pandemic. So you really don't want to bring anyone that's not outside of Japan into Japan for these tournaments, because that can start another outbreak, even on a small level, amongst the employees and family members of the New Japan staff. The only people that aren't Japanese I see in the whole bracket was Gabriel Kidd and Zack Sabre Jr. So,
right, but they've been there before. They were there before this pandemic started, so that's not that they're not like returning, or they're not debuting rather. Zack Sabre Jr. has been in Japan for 4 years now, and Gabriel Kidd since mid 2019, I think, is when he debuted, but I could be wrong on that. So,
but yeah, so it's a single elimination tournament. It's a little different from the G1. G1 is a round robin tournament. So in this tournament, one and you're out, one and you're done, if you will. It's also an open weight class tournament. It's going to be taking place from July 16th to, I believe, June 16th to July 11th.
Yep. It starts June 16th. I'm looking on the New Japan website trying to see if that's the case. So it's been going for a little bit, or it's about to start rather. It started yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yesterday for us. For them, it'd be what, today? Because they're how many hours ahead of us?
A lot. I think they're
Anyways,
exactly 12
whatever
hours.
Yeah, whatever the time matchups are, I'm sure somebody could. When they say June, whatever, whatever that translates to us, somebody can do that calculation. I don't care at the moment. But I'm glad New Japan's back. I'm glad that they're over their, or maybe not over their coronavirus troubles, but they're at least they think it's safe enough to go ahead and do in-person stuff. I don't know if they're going to do what WWE has been doing with like the fiberglass, the hockey rink as I call it,
Yeah, it's the
turning
hockey rink.
yeah, turning it into the hockey rink. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to have if they're going to have live audience or if they're going to do wrestler audience like they've been doing. I don't know,
They
but I'm glad to see New Japan Wrestling back.
they might do a Young Lions audience like WWE is doing. Um, yeah, I'm just some more background. So the winner is an open weight tournament. The winner does receive a shot at Dominion for either
Yep.
the IWGP. I got it right because I wrote it all down, like the whole thing. The International Wrestling Grand Prix, heavyweight or
Yes.
intercontinental champion. The finals are going to take place in Osaka, Japan. Last year's winner was Kazuchika Okada. I usually call him by his
Yep.
last name, Okada, and he successfully beat Jay White for the IWGP Heavyweight Champion at the Supercard of Honor, I believe, in New York.
Yes.
And past winners
Yes.
have included Zack Sabre Jr., Shinsuke Nakamura, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kota Ibushi. We
Yeah.
here at the Second Turnbuckle podcast will follow the action and subsequent matches and dates in the tournament. We're going to be giving you our opinion. It probably might not get its own episode. That'll kind of depend on how good the tournament is in our opinion.
Yeah.
But we will definitely be giving you our opinions on the tournament itself here. I think everyone here is glad to see more wrestling on the block. WWE's,
Except for those people outside your window, they're not very happy.
yeah, it's Long Beach. What can you say? Hopefully,
So at Osaka Joe Hall on July 11th will be the final, and then whoever wins goes to Dominion, which is also at Osaka Joe Hall, July 12th.
it kind of seems like Osaka Joe Hall is going to be like the performance center for New Japan right now.
Yeah, I think that's where they're doing most of their stuff, their wrestling matches.
Yeah, but again, it's glad to see another wrestling company that can flourish right now. We haven't covered it
Yeah.
a lot, but Ring of Honor is still running shows.
I thought they were doing reruns still.
I think they're doing no fan shows as well. I've seen some no
Mm.
fan stuff from them. I've seen no fan stuff from Impact. Just a
We
little.
gotta start covering Impact. I'm hearing that Impact has gotten a lot better in recent months and years.
Yeah, it's weird. They haven't been able to really stick to a solid roster with all the other wrestling companies on the market right now. So,
Yeah, AEW being the hot market, it seems like where everybody wants to go.
right. So we just saw Brian Cage leave Impact for AEW. So we're really kind of
Yep.
seeing like the
Uh,
some of your
yeah, go ahead.
season TNA names are coming back. Like Chase Stevens of the Naturals is back. They were a thing when I first started watching. Back when America's Most Wanted was a thing. That was Chris Harrison, the Cowboy, James Storm,
Hmm.
and
The
yeah.
only thing I remember James Storm from is Beer Money.
Oh yeah, he's a tag team specialist, my guy.
Yeah, I haven't looked into James Storm too terribly much. Forgive me.
It's okay. And Hernandez is back, part of the original LAX.
Okay.
Um, Even though my favorite version of LAX is definitely Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah, I think that's where most people got introduced into LAX because they made it. They almost felt like a faction with just two people. They were everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean there's still a thing. There's still a thing with Pride and the Powerful.
Yep.
Hernandez and Homicide have gone their separate ways. and we all know Conan is still booking somewhere. That was the
Yep.
first LAX that I was introduced to. I
Yeah, I
think.
was not.
Yeah, I've been watching.
Needless to say, I was not.
I've been watching TNA Impact for a while. Like I was, my mind, a young Jared's mind was blown when I found out there was another wrestling show on TV.
Gotcha.
It's like I watched Raw and SmackDown. I turned to Spike one day. I was like, "What? Your other wrestlers?
There's other ones?
I watch wrestling 3 days a week now." Anyway, a little AEW news. I'm really loving how they're deciding to use their injured wrestlers on TV. It's been a great watch.
Yeah, you were mentioning something. Wow, I can't talk. I'm having a stroke while recording the podcast.
Please don't have a stroke.
Um, yeah, no kidding. You were mentioning something before we started about Britt Baker, and I did not watch this week's episode of AEW or NXT, to be fair. So,
Yeah.
you were mentioning something about Britt.
So Britt Baker is feuding with Big Swole now
Oh, okay.
from the back of like a golf cart. Like her
I mean,
wheelchair
she
is up
got
on a golf
injured
cart.
though.
Yeah, no, but she's still on TV.
Uh-huh.
Vance Archer just had surgery on his arm, and so he's on TV. Excuse me, 10 just had surgery on his arm, and he's still on TV. They just
Hmm.
added another member to the Dark Order, formerly Allen Angels. I watched his matches with Homicide, and they're no, not Homicide. Ray Phoenix. Yeah,
Okay.
he had great matches with Ray Phoenix and John Moxley. He's a great wrestler, and it looks like he's signed. They've been using a lot of jobbers on AEW lately. Kind of like I know they say that QT has his own school, so I'm pretty sure some of his guys are just working there right now.
Hmm.
And so it looks like he finally got a contract because he picked up his first win. My only
Oh,
critique
okay.
of AEW has been when you see like an established star going up against these jobber guys, you know the jobbers by now, especially due to the
Right.
coronavirus, and you know who's going to win. So it's AEW Dark really isn't very interesting TV. They have great matches, but it's not interesting because you know the finish.
Right.
But
I
that
did see this week that Moxley was on Dark and he had a match with oh, what's his face? Jordan something.
uh,
Let me pull up my YouTube
on Dark,
subscription.
that was
Yeah.
I don't like that guy. He looks like a bootleg
What's his
superhero.
name? What's his name?
I just watched it, and I'm drawing blanks. If I find it before you, then I'll shout it out. But
Yeah.
it's not really worth mentioning. That's only Moxley's second match on Dark.
I know it's just bothering me. I'm the kind of person that's just a little tidbit about me. Like if I remember something, but I draw a blank on it, it bothers me until I remember it.
I definitely understand, but it honestly is not worth mentioning. To be fair,
Robert Anthony.
yeah,
That's his name. Robert Anthony.
it's not worth mentioning. It's not like it was a I
It
mean,
was fine.
they
I
don't
saw a little bit of it.
they don't have very many squash matches, and when they do, it's very impactful. But even their jobbers are
Hmm.
like really decent wrestlers.
Yeah.
Not saying the WWE's aren't. It's just when
Right.
you see a guy jobbing in WWE, he's there to do the job, and that's it. Like he's not. No one's trying to make him look strong and or anything like that. They're
Yeah.
just. But
There's a
AEW,
very established role.
yeah. Here's your $500. Go eat some catering, get dressed, lose,
Yeah.
and then go home.
Yeah. And it's a decent enough gig, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Another thing. Why is Dark Order so thick?
Yeah. I don't know.
That is a very big stable right now.
Yeah, they have like 10 people. Well, I guess do the underlings count necessarily? I mean, they have what, four main members? They have Brody Lee, they have Evil Uno, and
Stu
what's his
Grayson.
face, whose name I can never remember. Yeah, Grayson. And
Stu
then
Grayson.
who's the new guy?
So they have Brody Lee,
Yes.
Evil Uno, Stu Grayson. Those are 1 and 2.
Right.
They have 3 and 4,
Okay.
which they have names and they use them on TV, but I can't remember. 5, who was like Alan Angels, who just joined.
Right, who just joined? Yeah, yeah.
There is no 6, 7, or 8, or 9. Then there's 10, and I guess Brody Lee is the top. If they're naming all the people numbers, and I'm really kind of sad because it's
Okay.
going to be a 11-member faction.
Yeah. I just pulled it up. They said obviously the exalted one, who's Brody Lee, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver,
Yes.
and Alex Reynolds, an unnamed spokesman, and then it just says they have several wrestlers that are under ring name. They're just numbers. They are the who is it? George Foreman, who his kids' names are George Foreman the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, or something like that.
Yeah.
And so we have the George Foreman stable.
Right. And they actually teased Colt Cabana joining
Yeah,
this week.
yeah, it's George Foreman, George 4, George 5, George 6. So yeah, they're all. We have Dark Order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
And they joined they teased Colt Cabana joining. So he might be like 6 or something.
I doubt it. I mean, it'd be cool, but doubt it.
No, they teased. I'm trying to tell you, they teased it on Dark. I'm kind of looking forward to see what they do with
Oh,
that. No, not
gotcha.
Dark. They actually teased it on the show. The TNT show.
Interesting. It's on Dynamite?
Yeah, on Dynamite.
Huh.
So he lost the match. He lost the match to Sammy Guevara. He kind of got in his own way.
Uh-huh.
He was going for the Chicago skyline. I don't know why all his moves are so elaborate. He was going for the Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Chicago skyline, which is basically he stands on the second rope with his opponent on his shoulders, and he just drops them on their neck and knees on the top rope.
Ouch.
Right. You know, Sammy Guevara got out of that, and he reversed. He used Colt Cabana being on the second rope to get him into position for his finisher, the go to hospital. It's basically feast your eyes.
Oh, okay.
It's such a small guy doing that move doesn't
Yeah.
too well with me. But
I mean, if he can do it,
he could do whatever he wants. But
just don't try to do it to like Brian Cage or something. You might drop the guy.
right. But then it's like you have somebody like Dijakovic that's doing this on WWE and it's making it look like it really hurts.
Well, that's because he's Dijakovic.
And then you have Sammy Guevara doing it in AEW, and it's kind of like your friend's little brother, like, hey, can I give you this wrestling move I saw on TV the other day?
Yeah.
It's not gonna hurt, I promise.
Probably not, no.
It's
Sammy
not gonna hurt, guys.
Guevara is so like obviously being groomed for a title push. Like it's obvious that he's going to be a big time champion. The way that they've been booking him, I think there's been backstage conversation on him specifically, and that they want him to be champion at some point.
I mean, I like
I
all
have
the
no doubt.
I like all the really the next up guys you can see in AEW right now. So the ones I
Right,
have identified,
him, Lance Archer,
not,
or
not
Vance Archer is his
not
name now, right?
no, it's Vance Archer was WWE. It's Lance Archer now.
Well, yeah.
It's like the other guy's name Vance, Preston Vance. I'm sorry, I probably called him Vance Archer before, but it's Preston Vance, number 10. I'm catching it as I go, but I wouldn't even call Lance Archer the next up guy. I'd say
Right.
younger guys like Private Party, Jungle
Oh,
Boy,
yeah.
Sammy
Jungle Boy
Guevara,
for sure.
MJF.
Yeah, definitely.
So like I can see those guys in 5 years kind of just taking everything and running with it.
Yeah,
Because
for sure, for sure.
I mean, the young bucks are getting pretty old. Cody's no
Yeah,
spring chicken anymore. They really have to
yeah,
think of who's gonna hold this when we get hurt. Who's gonna run this when we get tired.
yeah.
I really like what they're doing here. Um, it seems like they're
I mean,
definitely. Go
they
ahead.
have to build new stars. They can't fall into the WCW trap or
The TNA trap.
the WWE trap in 2010 when like the old guard was still okay. Like we still had, Team WWE, John Cena and all those. Obviously, they had to bring in like Bret Hart and some of the older guys, but they shafted all the newer guys. That there has to be, and I think Cody saw it firsthand, where he
Yeah.
saw the Nexus get absolutely destroyed and the main event scene or the potential main event scene of WWE be basically blasted to smithereens in one night.
One
And he
night by
wants to
one
avoid
person.
that. Yeah. And he wants to avoid that. So I think Cody's making a calculated decision to while they're doing all the stuff with uh the elite and all that, and that's lovely. They have to do that because ratings are ratings, but they're also building new people at the same time, and then that has to happen.
Right. So it's like other guys I failed to mention the first time, Darby Allen, Joey Janela,
Yeah, Darby Allen for sure. He's definitely being geared for something.
Scorpio Sky. Like these,
Um, yeah,
you
him less so than like Allen, MJF. Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, I can see it.
But at least like you can look at the roster and be like, well, okay, these guys are gonna be. This is who's next.
Yeah, I definitely think Private Party, especially for the tag division, I think that they are going to be like the Usos of the tag division,
For
where they're
sure.
going to be very reliable, put on matches with consistent quality, and have a big time feud with someone else on the roster, maybe best friends, maybe some other team in like a year from now. But I think they are going to be huge as far as AEW Dynamite's concerned for the tag division.
Another weird thing, AEW was they had some really interesting issues with taping. I remember AEW being next in line for a title shot, but now they're not.
Who being in line?
Best friends, I think.
Yeah, they won at what's it called? Versus Private Party, the last AEW
Yeah,
Double or Nothing.
they should have been like there, but they're not right now. Instead, they're
Yeah,
sort
I
of
don't know.
feuding with the inner circle, which isn't a bad spot to be in. But that
Right, it's
being
the inner
said,
circle.
that being said, I just hope they don't fall into any continuity issues, just like WWE has, which pisses the
Right,
fans off. And with that, I feel
right.
like that's the perfect segue into the main focus of this episode. What's with all the heat WWE is just drawing towards itself.
I'm gonna hate doing this because you're a cocky piece of shit, but that was a very good transition. Very well done. I was impressed.
That you, I mean, hey, yeah, yeah, I'm cocky, but I do give a lot to the business.
It's just business.
I definitely give a lot to the business. Anyways,
That's true. That's true.
like I
Heat,
heat. Like I feel
heat.
like WWE, especially now, is synonymous with heat. They keep
Yeah.
making moves, especially from what I heard this morning. Um, I think we might be watching the the end of WWE as we know it.
I mean, I said that in what was it? I said that in like 2018 when they started doing more with the women and such. I mean, obviously they did that a lot sooner than that with the whole Divas Revolution, quote unquote. But
Divas.
they had Evolution and all that. I don't know. Every time I feel like I say, "All right, this is the last straw. WWE's finally going to do something," and it doesn't happen, and then I just go, "Well, okay."
And I don't mean this as like sort of a good thing. Like I'm not saying, oh, this WWE is going to be great.
Uh-huh.
I think it's about to get worse. Um, so
I definitely could.
just to preface what I'm saying here. So recently, this week, the week of June 13th, 2020, we just found out that Paul Heyman, who was the creative director for Raw, was fired from that position. He's still with the
Yes.
company. He's still an on-screen representative, but he was fired from his position as Raw creative director.
Yes.
WWE said they're trying to streamline the whole creative team, and they put Bruce Pritchard in the role.
Yeah. I don't know if I like this move because streamlining or what
Lining, yes.
streamlining, liming, streamlining a creative process only works with like-minded people. And if you have a lot of good writers going on one thing, then streamlining is good. But if you streamline something where the writers have conflicting ideas, and Bruce Pritchard, I'm not sure, but
Okay, so let me stop you there. Um,
yeah, go ahead.
the problem with this is um, the real issue with Paul Heyman was he wanted to push guys that he knew that wrestling fans
Right,
wanted, and Bruce Pritchard is the biggest brown noser ever, so he knows what Vince wants.
right,
So the problem is, um, like I'm not even gonna lie, the last few Bruce Pritchard's been running SmackDown ever since they got rid of Eric
right,
Bischoff
right, right.
and
Road Dog.
yeah, with Road
Well,
Dogg.
and Road Dog long before 2017 and 18. I think Road Dog was in the position, maybe even into 2019, and then I believe who took it over from him. Uh, my memory is
Bischoff,
blanking, but Bischoff. Yeah, yeah. There you go.
and then don't forget Ranjin
Um,
Singh was running it before Road Dogg.
right. So I don't know.
So
It's
okay, hold on
I have so many mixed feelings on
for the
this.
people who don't remember who Ranjin Singh is, just think of the Great Khali and the really tiny guy that was with him for a while.
Hmm.
But if you hear any noise in the background, just pardon that. We're breakfast is being made at the at top
At
guy
11:51.
at the top guy residence.
At
Yes, yes.
11:51 a.m. You 9 minutes away from noon, and you're having breakfast.
We eat breakfast whenever the fuck we want to eat breakfast over here. I
Hey,
I
nothing
eat
wrong with breakfast for lunch, man.
I eat breakfast for lunch, breakfast for dinner. Breakfast is a midnight snack. Breakfast as a regular snack. I love breakfast. There's nothing
It's
like
good stuff, man.
an over medium egg being split over, well seasoned,
Oh,
well done hash browns.
shit, I just realized I'm not supposed to be agreeing with you. I'm supposed to be hating you and everything you stand for.
But that's fine. That's fine.
It's all about lunch.
That's fine.
Nah.
Yeah. So
Um, but yeah, getting
basically,
back to what you were saying,
WWE is
I do have one. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
WWE
I
is.
don't want to interrupt your thought.
Oh, you good, bro. But WWE is transitioning more towards an audience of one, and that is the Mad Titan Vince McMahon. So
um,
I hate the decision.
yeah,
Um,
my thing is, I think what am I trying to say? Co competing interests. I think competing interests are good. So one of my problems that with Paul Heyman as a producer, he's a good producer, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure, and so is Bruce Pritchard, but they just have different styles. And when you have those clashing styles, you should, at least in theory, get the best results. So Paul Heyman kind of ran ECW into the ground because he did too much fan service and not enough business service. The people wanted one thing, but it might not have been. I know it's a cliche to say, but best for business.
right.
And Bruce Pritchard is essentially just a company guy, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. but he sees the numbers. He sees, okay, this person's doing good. Let's try to put them in a better role, and so we can get more money out of it. Whether or not it's what the company wants, we got Jinder Mahal as an example, and I don't know if Bruce Pritchard was the guy behind that, but just as an example, we got Jinder Mahal, which created some heat. So it goes into that very well. But it was
Yeah,
like company created heat. It was we saw right through it, and he was a company guy. He was a it was we had this deal with India, with the Indian market, trying
yeah,
to get that market with a TV deal, and we put Jinder Mahal as, hey, look at this, we're actually committed to this. Whereas fans didn't want it at all. Like, had Heyman been in charge at the time, I highly, highly doubt that Jinder Mahal would have gotten that title reign.
this is
Maybe
true.
if Bruce Pritchard had been or was at the time, like I said, I don't know if he was producer at the time. We would have put Jinder Mahal at the top, and we probably would have
Um,
gotten a longer Jinder Mahal reign.
so just a recent history of Bruce Pritchard. He was fired a while ago, and he worked with TNA for
Mm-hmm.
a while, and then he had like his podcast. Which even in having a podcast, he told the company line, so Vince could still do no wrong in his podcast, and a lot of people see it like he basically brown nosed his way back into WWE,
I mean, I
and
wouldn't be shocked.
so people think that he really just did this to get back in, and this was planned for a while. You know, they're blaming all the fact that Raw's ratings are dropping because of Paul Heyman, when it's honestly not Paul Heyman's fault. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're in the
Yeah,
middle of civil unrest all over the planet.
yeah.
So, like, you can't really
Well,
blame
and
people.
yeah, and Raw's ratings have been dropping since long before he was brought into the role. It's a different time. More people are consuming WWE on YouTube and social media than ever before. People are tuning in less and less because our attention span is dropping, which is an entirely separate conversation on how good that is for the psyche of people in general. That's a psychological question, but
Right.
like people aren't necessarily tuning in to Raw, watching all 3 hours of Raw. It's already unbearable enough as it is to try to sit through 3 hours of anything that's that boring. But I mean, people aren't watching. They're watching on YouTube. They're watching the clips. They see news outlets putting out the results. They're like, why do I have to watch? There's no point. I know it's going to be the same old thing every week. Uh, I don't know. I think blaming it on Heyman is a wrong move, and I think using him as a scapegoat is kind of vile.
Yeah. So I feel what you said about people watching on YouTube. For those of you who don't know, I consume most of my wrestling on YouTube.
Yeah, so
Um,
do I.
I
I don't watch Raw.
I can't afford
I
cable.
don't watch SmackDown.
I can't afford cable right now,
Well, we
especially.
have it, and I still don't watch it. And it's not that
Oh,
I don't like SmackDown or Raw. I have things to do. I don't have time for it. So
this is
I
true.
see. Oh, excuse me. I see my stuff on Raw, or that's on Raw and SmackDown. I see it on YouTube.
Right, right.
It's just how I. It's just how I consume information now.
Yeah, so I know you have a conflicting schedule with most wrestling programming. I think the person who watches wrestling out of all of the contributors we have here um, religiously would be the Dirty Quarter.
And well, Mike, because he has his review show.
Yeah. What's up, Commissioner? But
Shout out to the commissioner.
shout out to the Commissioner. More on that later. But yeah, we just we're in this weird time right now where you can't necessarily blame the fact that no one's watching your program on one particular person.
Yep. And I think this is a perfect example. Getting back to the main topic of the episode, which is heat. This is a perfect example of company created heat. I think there's
Right,
been a
right.
lot of, I've seen quite a fair bit on Twitter backlash, no pun intended, to Paul. Yeah, see what I did there?
Yeah,
To Paul Heyman being removed from his role. I think fans have a very high opinion of Paul Heyman as a backstage producer and as a wrestling mind in general. and you're seeing this perverse reaction, which I think is justified. I don't like. I like Paul Heyman as a backstage role. I think
Right, right.
he's pretty good at his job. I think he does fan service quite a bit, but I think that's okay sometimes, and that maybe sometimes he does need to be brought down. But other times, you sometimes just give the fans something, like a
But
little
yeah,
handout every once in a while.
I feel like make them co-besties, make them run creative together.
Exactly. And
Um,
let them fight for a while. Like, give them an hour over storylines, which are good, which are bad, why it's good, why it's bad, and then come to a consensus. And if not, I mean, Vince still reigns over both, but at least he gets an informed decision and not just look at that guy. He's a big, sweaty, six
big.
foot five, 250 guy.
He ticks my boxes.
Let's put him. Yeah,
Sometimes I feel honestly like Vince McMahon isn't running a company. He's looking for a partner, a male life partner.
oh my God.
Yeah, he's big and he's sweaty and he has all these muscles. Yeah, I want to see him.
I mean, he gave one of those people to his daughter, so I'm gonna get some shit for that sometime. I'm gonna get some shit for that in the future. But you know what? I'm leaving it in. I'm leaving it in.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I can't just. Well, wrestling people kind of date wrestling people. It's the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to this company heat. Sometimes it's like a. We see it. Like I hated Jinder Mahal as champion. Like I hated it. Like it's like you, but like then again, as wrestling fans, I can't be too upset because we complain about seeing the same old people over and over again holding the belt, and then we get something new, and it's like that's not it.
Right. That's not what I wanted. No,
Getting
and we fall. I definitely fall into this trap sometimes. It's just like with Apollo Crews. I
right.
really, it didn't seem pushed. And I really like Apollo Crews. So for me personally, it ticked all the boxes of something that I want. Now, Crews has some work for
Yeah.
sure. I'm not. Yeah, he still is that joyful playground kid that just got a new toy. There's so little character there, which is true. But he has time. I mean, he has time to improve. I think he definitely needs to win this match at Backlash. Give him something. But wrestling wise, he's totally sound.
right, he's a great wrestler, and that kind of goes back to one of our last episodes, like what makes a great wrestler. He's definitely a great in-ring talent, but he just doesn't have any sort of charisma.
Right.
But
There's some work to be done there.
but at least he's not being a dick on Twitter.
Yeah.
Which
That's another. We definitely are going to get into that.
which I think we're about to slide into that head first right now.
Yeah. So we had company pushed heat, create like fabricated heat,
Right,
and
like
then this one, I guess we're putting this one under like bad PR, which
yeah,
creates real life heat for the wrestlers.
most definitely. And sometimes, so we have just examples of bad PR. I'm forgetting his
recent
name.
ones.
Brad Maddox. You remember Brad Maddox?
Yes.
You remember what he got fired for?
I remember what I think he got fired for, which involves a certain New Day member and a former SmackDown commissioner.
And a championship belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not gonna get into too many details on that.
Anybody that knows, that they know.
If you know, you know.
And if not, don't look it up.
Yeah, especially to the
it's bad.
The very few people who are listening under the age of 17, even though I've been over the age of 18 since I was 14. Please don't look it up.
Yeah, but we're not all you.
No, you're right. Not everyone can be the top guy.
There it is.
There it is.
You had to throw it in, didn't you?
Cheap pop. I'm gonna get some merch made with that on it too. It's gonna be
Cheap
great.
pop.
Cheap pop. Yeah. So right now we're in this really weird thing with the Dream, not Akeem the African Dream, but the Velveteen Dream.
No, not that one. Yeah, I have not heard anything since the initial allegations. He was allowed to have a takeover match, so I think if there was something that the company was actually seriously or worrisome of, that he would have been taken out of that takeover match no matter how far along. They would have
I
written him
don't
off
think
TV
so.
somehow.
I don't think so.
I do,
So
because we've seen it before.
I think the fact that he didn't win kind of shows that they're really kind of iffy on him right now.
Maybe. Although I don't, I kind of said when it first came along that I don't even know if Dream would win anyway. I picked Dream for my predictions because I was hedging against WWE being kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Um, but I even said during the day, the closer that it drew to the match, I was like, "Fuck, Dream's not winning."
Yeah, no, that's exactly why I called that portion of my predictions the way I did. We're kind of still
Yeah,
in the air about that. Now, it could have been leaked.
yeah,
Like someone could have hacked his cloud. This is why. Listen, guys. If you don't learn anything ever from me, listening to any one of these podcasts, please don't keep your nudes in the cloud.
yeah. No, don't take them with any kind of device that has a Wi-Fi connection, because if it does, it can be hacked.
So I
And this is not, and I want to be clear, this is not victim blaming. It's still a crime. If somebody takes your stuff, that's an invasion of privacy. It's still a federal crime. But there is something to say about hedging your bets against people being awful. And the easiest way to do that, if you're gonna do it, not that we condone it, but if you're gonna do it, be smart about it,
right,
at
like
least.
listen, this is not the place to get your life advice.
No, definitely not.
This
This is
is
a place for us to talk shit.
this is not the place for you to. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a any sort of life coach, but I will say, if you're gonna take nudes, put them on a thumb drive and keep it on you at all times. Like
If you really want to.
delete them from your phone, from the camera, from wherever. Keep them somewhere safe where someone's gonna have to actually work to get it. Don't just put it on like the cloud, because then you have what allegedly happened with the Dream. I'm kind of just
Yeah,
gonna take his side of the story because he's been the only person to say anything else about it.
right.
So it's kind of like he got hacked and
Yeah,
he had his stuff on the cloud. Someone took it and decided to use his likeness, and this happens all the time. Fake
yeah,
Twitter pages, fake Facebook pages. It happens almost way too often.
yeah. Definitely.
So if some
Definitely.
you can't this is mess with this guy's job, you know. Like the
Yeah.
things you do on the internet have real life actions, and you
Yeah.
shouldn't.
It's really egregious.
Yeah. Speaking of things you do on the internet having real life actions, um,
Segue.
Jackson Riker, this
Yeah.
guy,
So his initial comment that people saw, where he was defending Trump and he used his own catchphrase at a time of very high tension in the country.
yeah,
I didn't think it was the smartest move, but obviously he has the right to say it. I may not have agreed with it, but people were trying to get rid of him already, and that's kind of egregious. Him using his wrestling catchphrase, like that's a piece of shit move.
well, I mean,
But
it was
his next comment was even worse. I mean,
so.
that one was like, all right, stop. That's really bad. You should not have tweeted that.
So I'm gonna see if I can find that tweet.
Yeah, go ahead,
Right now,
because it's really bad.
but
Even if it's even if there's any amount of truth to it, pointing it out is so tone deaf and just not the point. And that's one of the reasons why people are so mad, is that he completely misses the point on
okay.
several counts.
So the thing is, um part of the problem is that because this is like an all white militant type group, kind of right,
Right.
they kind of seem like the right wing. They probably weren't gonna receive as big of a push as we thought in the cultural climate anyway.
Right.
But then this guy goes and tweets, I found it. Thankful for the president at POTUS, President of the United States, that we
Yes.
have. God bless America, built of freedom, forgotten no more.
Yes. Forgotten no more is their catchphrase.
Which, which even reading the tweet is a very contradictory statement. If America
Yes,
is
it
built
is.
of freedom, then why don't these people? Shouldn't these people have the freedom to protest, and why should they be tear gassed and shot at with rubber bullets
Yeah.
and all these other
Like I say,
things?
it's totally tone deaf. It's an idiotic tweet
Right.
on several levels.
And this is really honestly, if I can give the guy some advice, which you probably won't listen to, but hey
Oh, of course
Jackson,
not.
if you're listening to this podcast, um, you kind of want to keep your job and your political views separate, and this is
Yeah.
exactly why. Story
Yep.
time. So I had a job where I used to go door to door
Oh, this ought to be good.
selling windows, and we worked 6 hours a day and 8 hours a day on weekends. We worked in the evening. We would all meet up at one general location, and we'd take a van to somewhere in the greater Los Angeles South Bay area, and we would knock on doors trying to sell windows. And it was a revolving door of employees because it's a very tough job to have.
Mm.
Just especially when it's this was a few years ago, but it's a very tough job to have. You have to have really strong skin. It's really kind of hard to have doors slammed in your face all day and whatnot. But
Yeah.
it always kind of seemed like I'm not trying to be racial here, but it always kind of seemed like the fairer skinned people had
Mm.
more success than ethnic people. So we had this
Mm.
one white guy, and
Okay.
and I guess he got mad and said something like he voted. Someone asked him who he voted for. He made it known that he voted for Trump, and this guy was great. Like I guess he'd done it before, but this guy was
Okay.
really great. Like he was like um, Obi-Wan Kenobi said, he was the chosen one, and
Okay.
that really made it hard. Like he took a couple of days off because he had heat in the van. It's like you work with these people all day.
Right.
We spend like at least an hour and 45 minutes in a van with each other, and you make it
Right.
really awkward when you bring something like that up at work. Now, do I have an issue with Republicans? No. Um, I'm in the middle. I don't think everything
Yeah,
is black and white.
I
Um,
agree.
sometimes I veer a little bit more towards the left, others towards the right.
Hmm.
But you keep your views separate because that will make someone look at you because of what you believe differently than you as a general person. Like the guy was
Yeah,
really
and
cool.
yeah, definitely. It happens a lot.
And once you kind of cross that line with these are my political views, but I'm still a decent person, people are always going to look at you like that. Did he get fired because of that? No, but that did make him seem like a problem employee. And the next thing he
Right.
did got him fired immediately.
Oh dear.
It wasn't anything bad. He kind of tried to go to another department in the company without talking to a supervisor first, which is not
Oh, okay.
necessarily something that you could be fired for. But the fact that you just turn the rest of your employees against you, it's like, dude, you got to go.
Right.
Like we see
Yeah.
that you're making issues.
That's a good example because it's kind of the same thing here. I mean, we saw like Mustafa Ali and especially Kevin Owens kind of berate him for it.
Yeah, Mustafa
So
Ali,
I mean, yeah.
Batista, Kevin Owens. It's like they can't
Well,
fire him.
Batista comments on everything under the sun.
Yeah, this is true.
Batista kind of annoys me because he's so obviously partisan, and I don't like people that are really obviously partisan. So, but I don't like it on either way. I'm like you. I'm in the middle, and when somebody's so obviously to one side or the other, they're just really annoying to me.
Definitely. But like I
But that's beside the point.
well I things aren't necessarily that black and white that you can
Yeah.
just support someone 100% wholeheartedly. And it really was a terrible decision on his part. And
Yeah. Jackson Riker 100% should not have tweeted these things. I mean, he has the right to, but he is subject to the backlash, and whatever people want to say is also what
backlash.
they want to say. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of puns in this.
But another thing is when you do something like that, you cause people to go down the rabbit hole. We
Yep.
currently do live in cancel culture. Am I a fan of it? 100% no. But this is cancel culture.
It happens.
So things.
It's reality.
So other things have come out since that he's posted. Before he was a WWE contracted employee, and now people have found it, and
Well, because it's public. It was on his public Facebook page, and anything you post, the internet has a record of, and the internet will find it.
like what we just said. But listen, guys.
Yep.
Don't do anything that would cause someone to look down your rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Especially if you got things you don't want people to know about in there.
So yeah, that's as to what's going to happen to Velveteen Dream and Jackson Riker, I don't know. Dream seems okay, at least for now, until anything major comes out, and I haven't seen anything yet.
Yes. Back to the Dream.
Jackson Riker seems much more likely to either at least be away from TV for a while or at worst fired. I don't know if it'll get that bad. It's hard to say whether I want him to be fired or not. I would much rather he learn from his mistake.
Yeah, but like even though he ticks all Vince McMahon's boxes, like you really kind of only get one shot here.
Yeah.
You might not ever get back to that point again. And what sucks is he's a part of a faction.
They seem to be on. Go ahead.
What sucks here is he's part of a faction, and he might have also dragged the careers of these two other guys down who don't necessarily share those beliefs and opinions.
It definitely seems like what's his name? Because the other faction member, because he spoke out against
Was
it
it
as
Cutler?
Well. No, the other one.
Yeah.
Who's the other one?
Blake?
Hell, Riker, Blake. Oh no, was it Cutler? Shit, I can't remember. It was one of the two.
Yeah.
Members of Forgotten Sons.
Only the best here.
I've forgotten them. That's a mistake. That's a problem.
Well, I mean, it's in their name. If they wanted to be the memorable sons.
It's Wesley Blake, Steve Cutler, and Jackson Riker. So I want to say it was Blake.
One of them did. I think both of them did, actually.
Well, good news for Jackson Riker is he still has a bio listed on WWE.com. So.
Right, he hasn't been moved to the alumni section yet. Just yet.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, come on, Scam Likely.
Buzz, buzz, buzz.
Come on,
Is that
Scam
an
Likely.
Amber Alert?
No, Scam Likely.
Fucking telephone call, telecommunication.
They're going to call me and be like, we can forgive you for your student loans. And I'm going to be like, but I don't have any.
I don't have any. Click.
Right.
But yeah. What do we want to move on? I think I've said all that needs to be said on this.
I have. So, we'll go to this really weird kind of heat, because accidental heat. So, it sometimes a lot of times WWE does things that cause heat with their wrestlers, and we don't necessarily know if it's legitimate or not. Like, you remember what happened with Jordan Miles?
Vaguely. I kind of tuned out of that one because he was very like yelly and stuff on Twitter, and at the time I was like,
he didn't
really care very much. I didn't care about a lot of things at that time, to be fair.
He didn't really handle it the best. So there was this really weird thing that they made him a T-shirt, and he said like blackface.
Okay.
And like it had like this red smile and white teeth on a black shirt.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, could seem like his text was in the teeth where the teeth would be. And honestly,
Okay.
I think they were working on somebody else's merch, and they got like a new class, and they all had terrible T-shirts, but his was the most terrible.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah,
Oh, this. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember this shirt.
but he didn't handle that very well. like and it's all about how you handle it. Come on, guys. hey, hey, shut the hell up.
You're talking with the cars.
Yeah, but
We're,
yeah, it's all
we're
about.
trying to record a podcast here.
I should have did that to old girl who was banging on my door the other week.
You should have.
Yeah, I should have.
I swear, we're gonna make that girl a returning character, a recurring character.
We,
That's what I
we
was
had
trying to say.
we had a recurring character in the second episode. That one guy Dave on Twitter. Remember Dave?
Yeah. Where's the work, Dave?
Where is it? But
I still have. By the way, that Twitter, his Twitter handle,
yeah.
no longer on Twitter. I can't find it.
Let me look for it now.
So
I think it was at King
yeah,
Duddy Dave.
yes, it was. King capital K, Duddy Dave, both capital D's, and Duddy was Dutty.
That is.
I tried finding it. It's not around.
I was thinking about that the other day. For those of you guys that haven't listened to episode 2 yet, which please
Do so first off.
Yeah, when you get done with this, go do that. There was this guy on Twitter. We got into a bit of a troll, and he was a bit of a troll, and
Yeah.
basically what happened was he said he wasn't gonna. He had a podcast. He listened to we were podcast posers and all that good stuff. And he had a podcast, but he wasn't gonna put it out until he got a distribution deal, because yeah,
Reasons.
no, because he has a body of work, right? And
Supposedly.
yeah, he has this whole body of work, and he's not gonna put it out there just for free. But we haven't seen the work. Granted, we only had 2 episodes out by then, so it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I can't find him either. It looks like he had an Instagram page and he's gone.
Yeah.
So.
I do see posts from people in like 2017 that have King Duddy Dave as like in the body of text, and when it's an active profile, it shows a blue hyperlink,
Right.
And his are black. So I don't think he's on Twitter anymore.
Yeah, I don't think his work panned out.
Yeah, I don't either. And yet here we are, 3 years later, reviving the podcast.
Hey, yeah.
I'm just saying, where's the work, Dave?
It's nowhere.
It's nowhere.
But yeah, so ACH had that thing. Could it have been an accident? Yeah. People aren't very sensitive to things of that nature anymore.
And then he blew up, right? So he kept calling WWE racist and calling them out for their treatment of black superstars.
Which, to be fair,
etc. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
It took however long until we got Kofi Kingston, the first African champion. Yeah.
Yeah, but
he's fully African. He was born
in Ghana. Yeah.
My apologies. I don't know that much about Kofi Kingston's background. Then again, I don't know much about many of their backgrounds.
So to be fair, he's born in Ghana.
Okay.
He's the first African-born WWE champion. We still have not had an African-American WWE champion.
Right.
The big gold belt does not count. Universal
right.
champion.
I know we had Ron Simmons and
King Booker.
Yeah.
But the big gold.
Well, it's not an active belt anymore.
Right.
So
that big gold belt does not count. The Universal Championship does not does not count. We still have not had a African American WWE champion. I know if someone listens to this and says, "But Top Guy, what about The Rock?" The Rock is only black.
The Rock's only black. Yeah. The Rock is only black when people want him to be black so that they can use him as an example.
Right. Every other every other time of the and that honestly that's because of his family lineage, and that's fair. But The Rock is only black in February when they can say something about Black History Month.
Yeah.
Every other time he's Samoan because he has such a rich Samoan heritage in the
Yeah,
wrestling
he,
business.
he he falls under more of the Samoan for me, more so than he does black. And that's not a rip on The Rock. That's just he obviously has more of a Samoan heritage.
Yeah, but and honestly, that's fair. I mean, he grew up
That's
around
fair. Yeah, that's
he
fine.
he grew up around that side of the family a lot more. That's cool. I understand.
Right.
Um, that side of the family, even though his father was a wrestler as well, that side of the family is more respected in the wrestling community as a whole because of the sheer amount of champions and wrestlers they have put out.
Yes.
However, they haven't put the belt on Bobby Lashley. That'd be great, honestly. That's that's what I'm hoping for tomorrow on Backlash.
I know
But
you are. You're going to be sorely upset.
probably, but I doubt that it's gonna be a clean win. It's gonna be he'll probably get disqualified. Honestly,
Or
uh,
something, yeah.
yeah, I'm fine with that. But we still haven't had a black WWE champion, and
Yeah.
like in being an adult and knowing what I know now about the wrestling business, it's not because these guys aren't talented or anything like that. It's really
Right.
because the guys in the back are really. It seems like they're scared to put a belt on an African American person.
Yeah. Which I mean, for like, it shouldn't matter. Like, it really, really shouldn't. And it's not that like I know people don't like the term colorblind, and I'm not saying that you should be or shouldn't be. You don't have to be colorblind. It's obvious that black people are different. That's fine. It should not matter. It should be this person is over. This person's great. Put the belt on them, regardless of religion, politic, creed, whatever. But that's obviously not how it is.
Right. And I understand you're running a company and you want someone to represent your company the way you want them to, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair.
I mean, it's not. And anybody that follows it knows it's not fair. And I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. I wish I did because I would implement it because I would love to see somebody like Apollo Crews as WWE champion. I really would. I think he's incredible. I mean, I would want him to get a character first, but
Yeah, the
like,
contingent on his character.
yeah, I would love to see somebody that's worthy. That's very. I don't want to say that. That sounds bad. I would love to see an African American WWE champion that can hold that belt with prestige.
Right, but it
In the
really
same
comes
way as like a Drew McIntyre, in the same way as as a Seth Rollins. Like,
as an
I would love that. I would
as
love
an
if
Eddie
yeah,
Guerrero.
as Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm sure somebody could do it. That you can't tell me that in 2020 that there is not like that there's not a black wrestler that can be WWE champion
I
and
mean,
hold it well.
I mean,
That's not an argument.
off the top of my head, Shelton Benjamin,
Jay Lethal.
Bobby
He's
Lashley,
not in WWE, but whatever.
Jay Lethal, Keith Lee,
Cedric Alexander
right,
could.
Ricochet, he's half black.
Keith Lee, like you said, Ricochet. Is Ricochet? I thought he was.
Ricochet is half
Is he
black.
black?
Half black.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yes, he is. I checked.
Okay.
But
But yeah, like those are examples. Big E, I would love if Big
yes,
E could be WWE champion.
Xavier
I've
Woods.
changed my mind on Keith Lee. Or Keith Lee on Big E.
He'd be
I
great.
used to not be like a huge fan. I always thought he was good as like a faction guy and as a getting himself over guy. But the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm like, yeah, put the belt on Big E. Like, that'd be great.
Watch his early stuff in NXT when he had the 5 count.
Mhm.
That was great. He brought back the Gorilla Monsoon 5 count.
Right.
Basically, for people who don't know what that is, Gorilla Monsoon said that beating people with the 3 count is too unfair, so he gave them to 5 to count out, to kick out.
That's cool.
Right. So that was dope. But there's a lot of people that you could
Yeah.
tap.
That's what, eight, nine people that we just listed off?
Right. So I
And that's
feel
not
like,
to even pick through the hundreds of other wrestlers that are on the indies that could eventually come up and do some cool
or
stuff. But
past wrestlers like
yeah.
Mark Henry, Booker T.
Well, he did hold the big gold belt, right? Mark
Yeah,
Henry,
but
the
like
Hall of Pain.
he did. My problem with the
But yeah,
big gold belt was even when it was a thing, it was kind of like second fiddle to the Raw
I mean,
belt.
not when Mark Henry held it, but that was also because he had a really good storyline backing. The Hall of Pain is amazing. It's a
Well,
very good story.
well, when he took it off, I think he took it off Cena.
Yes.
But like after that, like there was no one else of note that he defended his
Right.
belt against. Like what, Sheamus?
He defended against Sheamus. I want to say he defended it against Big Show, but I could be misremembering.
Sheamus and
But
Big
anyway,
Show.
but we have to keep context in line. So I mean, Sheamus was pretty big at the time,
Yeah, he was a face at the time. But
and
still,
he a big character, and like he was doing some really big stuff. It wasn't like it was our modern day, you know, freaking what's his name from Lucha House Party. Like he was a big name at the time.
honestly, I could never take Sheamus seriously, but that's a different
I
conversation.
can't either.
Um,
I'm totally gonna put a Twitter poll out tomorrow. Who thinks we should be having this Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus in 2020?
so yeah, Jeff Hardy threw piss in Sheamus's face, but that's totally
All right, we are
that.
way off
Yeah,
topic.
but honestly, it's the way guys like ACH, Jordan Miles, if you didn't know, and Leo
Yeah,
Rush really handled their claims against WWE. Kind of
yeah,
is off-putting.
it really is off-putting, and whether it should be or not is irrelevant to the question of if it is or not, and it
Right.
is to people en masse.
And then another thing, the company has done itself to cause heat within its own company, which really creates like a hostile work environment almost. But the way they've been reacting to certain wrestlers choosing to stay home during the coronavirus,
Yeah,
the COVID-19 thing, like
yeah, Daniel Bryan,
you
Roman
just wipe
Reigns,
Roman
especially.
Reigns off of TV.
Yep.
Um, you strip Sami Zayn of a belt. Like you don't give
Yeah,
him the same benefit of the doubt that you do Jordan Devlin.
yeah. But it's also because it's easier to forget about Jordan Devlin
That's true,
because
honestly.
he doesn't see him all the time.
Right. Who's that guy?
Well, he doesn't. He's on NXT UK, and or we're talking about
Triple H
freaking
versus
what's his
Vince
name, who
McMahon.
I've already forgotten now. Oh my god. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's things in WWE are just kind of looking really problematic as a whole.
Yeah, there's been a lot. Honestly, there's been a lot of things that have happened in the last 2 years that have given them really big heat. The Saudi Arabia thing has given them so many problems that
Right.
it's almost worth it to say that it or it's almost like valid to say that it probably wasn't worth it from a PR standpoint, especially that the Saudi Arabia deals are just terrible.
Right. Like you killed a guy
Uh,
and
yeah, and I mean Stephanie McMahon. I mean that what she did was equally egregious. I mean she basically laughed it out of the building. She basically laughed it off when a guy was killed by the Saudi government, like straight up murdered, like assassinated by the Saudi government, and her it pisses me off. Her basic response was, "What can you do?" It's like, what do you mean? What can you do? Like this is a government that absolutely slaughters people's rights and slaughters its people constantly,
yeah.
and then they just murdered a journalist, and you laugh it off. I mean, that's anyway.
So yeah, we might be seeing the end of WWE as we know it. Honestly, um, the old adage is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But WWE's been broke for a long time, and I'm trying to hold out hope that somebody's gonna fix it.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, yeah,
Competition is too
I
high
don't know.
right now for them to
Yeah, it
continue to
is.
try to do things that worked in 2008.
Yeah, like even let's go back to the Jinder Mahal thing. The WWE hasn't exactly had a great history with having these ethnic gimmicks and them go well, at
Not
least
at
as
all.
far as what people consider acceptable today.
I
Even
mean,
when we had Jinder Mahal as a heel, he was the typical Indian guy who's foreign and hates white people because they're holding him down. And it's happened every single time there's been a ethnic champion, if you will.
right, there hasn't been a change in that formula since the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. Vladimir Kozlov was the same way. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously Russians are white, but well, at least mostly white. But
mostly.
yeah, it's an old adage that just it doesn't like people. That's another reason why people tuned out of it because they were just like, okay, so we have a heel Mahal. That's just the same old foreign gimmick that we've had every time.
Right, and it's
It's it's so boring. Even when Sergeant Slaughter in the '80s, I mean, he was just the reverse. He just didn't. He kind of reeked of, man, I hate these Muslims.
what
You
what
know,
what
it had that
what did you
air
call it?
about it.
The white the white bread,
I forget.
the white bread and milk just
Yeah.
you used it to describe Randy Orton and Edge, but
Oh, milk toast.
the milk toast, yes. But
Yeah, it's just I don't know. That's another thing that WWE has done wrong consistently for 30, 40 years, and it's got to be fixed as well. There's got to be there's got to be somebody backstage that can come up with a decent story, right?
yeah, they fired her.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah.
You were
The
so
Otis,
nonchalant with that. Like, yeah, they had it and they fired her.
yeah, the Otis, the whole Otis and Mandy Rose thing. They fired the person who wrote that.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, um, yeah, I'm good with that aspect of Heat.
Let's
Um,
talk about the good aspect of Heat.
what do you mean?
So I saved this for last because I know it was going to be really bad. Forgive me for chewing in the background. I'm hungry. Top guys got to eat, right? Um, let's talk about people who do their job so well we just hate them, like
Oh, you're talking
Baron Corbin.
kayfabe Heat, character
Yeah,
Heat.
real important Heat. Like,
Yeah,
boo, this
well,
guy sucks.
Baron Corbin, I kind of like the first half of his heel shtick. People booed him not because he was actually good at being a heel, but because he was boring. He was bland. Nobody cared.
Right, right.
And we kept seeing him and like, all right, can we just like get him away from the screen so that we can move on to something else? Whereas I think it's now morphed where he's kind of settled into his king role and he's kind of pulling it back where people are actually like, all right, I hate you again, but because you're actually good at being a heel.
Right. And this is a WWE guy. It's not like he came in with a lot of wrestling experience. This is a homegrown guy, so he really kind of found his stride.
Yeah.
And now he's doing what a heel should do. There is at no point in a successful wrestling broadcast where I feel that your faces should get booed.
Right. If your face is doing a good job, as far as traditional wrestling philosophy goes, the faces get cheered, the heels get booed, and that's how it should be.
Right. And is wrestling philosophy warped in 2020? Absolutely,
Yeah.
because sometimes you get a heel that's just so good you can't help but cheer him. That's really just us smart marks.
Yeah, exactly. We have taste and we want a good heel, and we just go, yeah, keep doing good heel stuff.
Right. Good heel, good lucha things. But
Good heel things.
right. But you can't
Yeah.
just put that on a T-shirt and sell it. Good heel things.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no.
I really liked when Tommaso Ciampa was heel because he didn't do he was really committed. I don't know if you're aware, but
Yeah.
he wouldn't take like t-shirt royalties when people bought his t-shirt. He was that committed to the role. He a friend of the I can say it. The Dirty Quarter went to a wrestling show as Ciampa was coming back, an NXT live event out here in California, and he brought his title belt with him. He has a replica of the big gold belt,
Okay.
and he saw Ciampa try to get a picture, and he said, "Hey, can you take a picture with Goldie?" He was referring to the big gold belt, and Ciampa straight up refused. He's like, "It's not my Goldie. It's not mine.
Oh
I
wow.
won't do it." Yeah, so Ciampa has a very large commitment to character, which I really appreciate,
So
even as a heel.
so honestly, I do. He probably took the royalties. Like they don't just expire. Like he probably took the royalties when he got hurt and lived off that. Then, but honestly,
But yeah, while he was a heel, he didn't take them. Is my
right.
point.
Um, one of my I was listening to JBL talk about being a heel, and I feel like that was our last really great heel wrestler. Um,
I think Seth Rollins was a pretty good heel,
eh,
but and it was he was more like the Authority was a really good heel, and
right.
Seth Rollins was an extension of that. So I guess in that case, so was Kane, so was J&J
So
Security,
basically,
so
Triple H
was
was a really good
etc.
heel.
Well, Triple H has always been a really good heel.
Yeah. So I feel like that, in my opinion, the last really great heel, like at just being a heel. So I'm not just talking about like a great wrestler that's a heel,
Right.
but a great wrestler that's only good at being a heel
Orton.
was nah. Orton's a
JBL
tweener.
then.
Orton's really a tweener, but
Well,
JBL,
he's a boring face, but yeah, JBL for sure. Excellent heel.
yeah, like he
I mean,
eats
he
it.
just had the aura that you just wanted to hit him with a chair whenever you saw him.
Okay, CM Punk, but like then again, I said that was only great at being a heel. So CM Punk
Punk
was just a great
was
wrestler, but
yeah.
J
Punk his heel run was kind of like against the Authority type heel run, and I
yeah,
don't mean the Authority as the character, the Authority.
but the man, stick it to the man, man.
The yeah, stick it to the man type heel, and he carried that over to being an even better face. I mean, CM Punk's a better face than he is a heel, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and like if you said that, I kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry, but J
No worries.
Tommaso Ciampa didn't take royalties. JBL didn't even let them make T-shirts.
Yeah. Yeah, no, JBL was very good. I might despise JBL as a person because he's a bullying piece of crap. But
Right.
anyway, great heel, great character.
Yeah, but that oh god, I think somebody's about to start their lawn. But yeah, that's just an example of a good heel, good wrestler, good worker. This is the only
Yeah,
heat we should have. We shouldn't have a point where the faces are being booed. I don't know why we
yeah,
continue to book Charlotte as a face.
yeah. She should be heel for sure. I mean, people are turning on her already, and she should 100% be a heel.
Once you embrace it, that's when you get into like the great.
Greatness territory.
Yeah,
Oh, you know what? The Miz, I would say, is a very good heel.
yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. But like
I,
my
I think he's much better as a heel than as a face. That's for sure.
most definitely. He's definitely one of my favorites. Like I couldn't have, like a younger me hated Edge, but as I got older, I love him.
Yeah. Heel Edge was really good too. I think. I mean, Edge can kind of do both really well,
Yeah,
so in the same way that Chris Jericho can do both very well.
yeah. Chris Jericho is just amazing. We need to have an AEW episode so I can just talk about how much I love them and how I feel like they're doing everything great.
I'm down to do that. We can put it in our roadmap somewhere,
Yeah, fuck the
or
roadmap.
put it in episode 2,
Fuck the
or
road.
in season 2 rather.
Yeah, let's do that. Um,
All right.
I think
Um,
we've bantered on enough for today.
I think so. I do want to mention
Go ahead.
the Golden Turnbuckle. We do have a new person in the running. We've been trying to get him on for a long time, and he won't be on the podcast yet, but he is participating in predictions. which means he'll be in the running for number one contender.
So
Jester Feslo, or where he's being rebranded.
Feslo Dollar, yes,
Indeed,
aka Jester Feslo. Let's just do some housework real quickly.
Yep.
Because of just the craziness in this golden turnbuckle chase, we have decided to name a commissioner. That commissioner is Sock Monkey Mike, a friend of the channel.
Yes.
The commissioners will not be able to contend for the golden turnbuckle as commissioner.
Yes.
That we're not gonna have that here. If he'd like to, but you can become number one contender. But
yes.
You would have to definitely forfeit that position to challenge, and then you can't
yes.
pick it back up if you lose.
Yes.
For a while.
So it's a temporary delegation of duties, and there are some rules with the commissioner. So if you cannot be commissioner like twice in a row, and what I mean is say Sock Monkey Mike delegates the position to me,
right?
And I make the choices, and the commissioner makes the choices for predictions and etc. It's a backstage type role. You guys won't really see much about it, but it makes it interesting for us to keep the predictions interesting more so than they already are.
Yeah, we'll mention it.
Yeah.
We'll definitely mention Commissioner. He'll be on at least a couple times. Excuse me, I'm just gonna adjust my mic here.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I get to stand up
now. Please don't do that. It sounds so wrong.
Oh, it's good.
Oh dear God. Anyway, so if Mike delegates the duties to me, I cannot give them back to Mike, meaning that so that way you can't be back to back, because it could create a power vacuum where him and I just transfer duties back to back to back, and we don't want to do that.
Right.
So
not here. This isn't
there has to be a minimum 2 reigns as commissioner, if you will, before you can be commissioner again.
Yes.
But otherwise, the commissioner can delegate his duties to whoever he so wishes. If there's ever a female member of the Second Turnbuckle podcast, obviously she would be in the running.
Which we should probably try to get at one point.
Which should, but I don't know anybody I don't know any female wrestling fans that care enough personally, to be honest.
Yeah, but
even my lady isn't interested enough. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting. We're trying to bring more character to the podcast. I will say this.
That's something for another day.
Yeah, I will say this. That if no one puts this is just like a note handed to me from the creators of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
If no one who's in the running gets their predictions in by the deadline, it's going to be a forfeit, automatic.
Yes. Yes.
This is an interesting time to be a personality here. I don't want to just walk away with the belt, even though I am a cocky, annoying, yet generous and gracious heel. I want to win this the right way.
Yes.
But if I don't, I'll take it anyway.
Got him.
But
got him.
But yeah, that's where we are.
What else?
In the Golden Turnbuckle chase. This has been a lot more interesting than WWE TV.
Yes, I've cared more about this fake storyline that we've created for the podcast than most storylines in WWE. Even the greatest match ever, I've never cared in the first place.
Wait a minute.
But
there's a name for that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
There's a name for that.
There's a name for that. Hold on. I wrote it down.
Are you literally getting up to find it?
It's right here. We're actually going.
Let it be known that he is leaving his workstation. I'm sure.
No, it was right here.
Oh, okay.
My workstation is so vast. I had it on a shoebox right next to my chair. I had to stand up. but we will be witnessing the greatest non-title semi-part-timer field, realistically
Oh my God.
pre-taped, not totally something we just saw at WrestleMania, wrestling match ever that might
Yes.
just be okay.
Yeah.
That is happening tomorrow.
Yes, that is happening tomorrow. Follow us on Twitter at the OG underscore STP, OG, and P are all capital. I will be live tweeting. I will also be releasing a custom graphic here from the Second Turnbuckle podcast, so you
Yes.
guys can see who we have all. I'll be creating it as well, but you'll be able to see who we've all picked. There are 3 people for the running of the Golden Turnbuckle, but then there will also be 3 that are in the running for number 1 contender, that being Fezlo Dallas, the captain, and Sock Monkey Mike. We will all be vying for number 1 contender. The Notorious, the Dirty Quarter, and Brian the Lion will be facing for
the top guy.
No, you're not the top guy. You ain't the top guy. You think you are, and you're trying to push it, and that's noble. But until you actually have something to show for it, you are just vying.
I have a lot to show for it.
But anyway, they are vying for the inaugural Golden Turnbuckle.
Yes,
and that
yes,
is
yes.
that.
And listen, that this has been a very controversial episode of the Second Turnbuckle podcast. Not a lot of humor because this is all real.
Yeah, exactly.
We like to entertain you, but we got to hit you with the seriousness every once in a while. We'll probably have
every once in a while. We got to sprinkle it in.
Probably have a jokey joke episode next week.
Yeah, we'll do some kind of. I've been really wanting to do a best finishers episode.
Best and worst,
and why? Yeah.
Yeah, let's not split those into 2 again.
Yeah, we can't do that. We'll pick like 3 to 5, and we'll actually write down, like, basically, if we do this kind of like philosophical type episode, you pick your 5, you write down your points, and you stick to those. You don't have to write out an entire sentence as to why, but just for sake of example, John Moxley paradigm shift, and you write a quick sentence like explosive, out of nowhere, easy to hit, impactful, like, and then you just formulate your sentence from those bullet points, if you will.
Right, and then you'll probably
so that we keep some time constraints,
And then you'll probably be debating with your fellow podcast member. Like, I can say I don't like the paradigm shift because it's basically just a simple raised underarm, double underhook DDT.
Right.
It's a very milk toast finishing move.
Yes.
I think the first iteration of Dirty Deeds was a lot better.
But anyway, let's pin that. We can do, because I like the paradigm shift, but it's not going to be in my top 5.
Right.
I was just using it as an example.
Yeah, no.
But anyway,
and I was
that
using that
is
as an
our
example.
Heat episode, yeah?
Yeah, I was using that as an example as how I'm going to be a dick on that episode and just shit on everybody's favorite finishers. Because that's what top guys do.
That's what top guys do, apparently.
Yes, that's what we do. Guys, it's been another great episode. Please remember to be kind to one another. Like we said, whatever you post on the internet will be available forever. Please be careful. Continue to wash your hands and stay away from each other if those are your state guidelines. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.